Hi everyone, just like to take this opportunity to say thank you very much for joining us again for the European Direct training session. It's nice to see some legacy names in there alongside some of our newer sign-ups. Hope that you'll find today's session informative and beneficial. So just so that you're aware, today's speakers are myself, Teresa Morel, the Customer Relationship Manager, and Adam Blundred, the UK Support Manager. He'll be working through the demonstration for you in a short while. To move on to today's agenda, so we're going to take a look at the SecureSMART portal today. Adam will run through the ease of navigating the message logs, including releasing emails, where to locate your MX records and IP ranges, a commonly asked question on our help desk, how to create advanced threat policies, a simple introduction to DKIM, and our new impersonation protection box within the solution. And he'll also discuss today the add-on functionality of VaultSMART, ClickSMART, and ContinuitySMART. So I'll hand over the demonstration to Adam, and then we'll convene afterwards and run through a Q&A session.
Okay, thank you very much, Teresa. So I'm just going to log into the portal. So I will be logging in as a super admin. So if I have slightly different controls to what you're expecting, that would be why. So okay, so obviously most of you probably spend the majority of your time in message logs. It is where you can release all your email, where you can see all your mail flow. It's where you can react to different traffic spikes, and also where you come in if you're looking for something to release from a request for an end user. But there are other things that you can do that a lot of people don't know about. So obviously one of the most common tickets that are raised with support is if an email slips through our filter. We do obviously stop the vast majority, but if anything does get through, what you have is the ability to actually report it. So if you find an email that has made it through, that you would like to not have made it through, simply tick the box next to it, and you can hit the report button at the top. And what this does, it gives you what kind of field you think it falls into, add a few comments and report it. And what that'll do is it'll go back in for retraining straight away, because it just helps us to make it more accurate in future, making sure that things like that don't get through again. When you are searching for an email, you have these default columns at the top. What you can do is actually add extra ones by hitting this column in the top right. And this allows you to add different information columns. So if you're not sure which policy has stopped an email, you can turn that on, and it will be able to give you the name of the policy, so you can then tie it back to your advanced policies section. You can see any reasons that an email made it through. So these are allowed because spam report at mailanyone.net is on the customer allowed user list. So things like that give you extra information as and when you need them. You can also see some extra things like, was it delivered with TLS, received with TLS, IP addresses and things like that. So you can do a lot more in the message logs if you need to. So like Teresa mentioned, I'm just going to quickly go through a release, because not every release is the same. So you might have one where a certain user has not received any email from a certain other address. So what you can do is you can simply put in, I'll just use mailanyone.net. No wildcards needed. If I simply put the domain, it will automatically search everything with that domain. I could also search, for instance, just spam report, or I could search spam report at mailanyone.net, or just even mailanyone without the TLD. I can either individually release an email, or replay in this case, as it is clean mail, and I can replay it to the original recipient, or I can type in another address. Now, a lot of you might have restricted access where you can't deliver it to somebody outside of the original recipient. If that is the case, you need to contact your local support department, and they'll be able to edit the privileges that are relevant for yourselves. Okay. Also on the right is the extra view on all this information. So you can read the message, but the SMTP logs is very useful for letting you know that it has been accepted for delivery. So this is a message that's come in, and you could say, yes, it was accepted by the mail server, and this is the mail server that did accept it. So you can do this on outbound mail as well. So if you've got a third party that's maybe saying they didn't receive an email, you can come straight into the logs, hit that I on the side, and you can simply check, the external delivery at 1307. This mail server said 250, I've accepted the mail for delivery. So the problem seems to be your end. Okay, so that's the message logs. Obviously, it works the way that you work it. Your local support department can help you if you have any issues or anything like that. But it is very powerful, and we advise try and use it to the best of your ability, because it is, like Teresa mentioned, the best in the business. You're not going to get this kind of single view anywhere else. In support, we do get asked quite often when people are acquiring new domains, they want to onboard onto our system, or new people are coming on board. What are my current MX records, and what are the IP addresses that you're going to be delivering to me from? And these are all luckily stored in a little button at the top called Getting Started. And these will default to your default region. In this case, we're in the UK, so it'll give you the UK MX records, IP addresses, SPF text. But you can also change this to be any other region if it is a certain other region that you are going to be using. So you can see they're all in a very similar format of domain, mx1-region.mailanyone.net, and also the IP addresses and SPF records. So you can always lock down your systems as needed to make sure that you're receiving mail only from ourselves. Advanced policies are where you can really be powerful on our system. So this works by creating a policy either inbound or outbound mail. And policies can be for all domains, specific domains within your account, specific addresses, or excluding specific addresses. So if you've got certain addresses that you don't want this to apply to, you can say all mailboxes except, and then add in your exceptions as needed. The rules are what you would like us to check within an email. So we can check almost every bit of metadata that is included on an email, and that includes things like the envelope from, envelope to, the date, the content, even inside like attachment content. So if it's something like a office document or a text document, we can actually look inside the attachment. If you are maybe creating a policy that's looking for DLP, for instance, somebody is sending out your key account numbers, or you can even do things like if the message body, if I just do message content, either contains Danish personal number, Swedish personal number, contains credit card. So we can help you to become PCI compliant from the email perspective by simply this one policy. What do you want to do when we do detect this? Well, I'd like you to simply quarantine the message, stop it from coming in, how long you'd like us to hold it, hit add, and then you can create the policy if you need to. And again, these can layer up if you want them to. So you could say, okay, it contains credit card information and it's coming from a certain address. Maybe you want to check that if it is, it's coming from a bank or it's not coming from a bank. Just that kind of granularity to really knock down to make sure that you get the information in these that you do get. The actions don't need to be as broad as quarantine message. They could be, maybe you just want to add a subject tag. So I know that we have some organizations, they might be on this call as well, that tag if an email is coming in from an external source, so it's passing through SecureSMART, then add an external tag. just so you know that this has come from an external party, and you know that it is internet-bound email. It's not come from an internal message. Also as well there, we can redirect message. If you'd like us to, for instance, somebody left the organisation, any message go to them, we can send it somewhere else. And we can also route message to a specific site. Now this is becoming very relevant nowadays, because you can say certain domains I want to route to my Office 365 account or certain people, whereas the rest of mine can go to the UK default. So this allows you to split your user base at the internet level rather than having to do any kind of hybrid setup locally on your mail servers. So moving on to a few of the newer features that we have put into the product that some of you might not be using or might not have seen. So under the filtering section, this is service settings filtering. We obviously have the bulk mail detection. You can stop at SPF failure and stop at DKIM failure, but we've added a new one here called Enable Impersonation Protection. And what this does, this helps with, it's sometimes referred to as spear phishing or whaling. It's where a external party pretends to be some executive management within your organization and sends into a CFO or somebody like that asking for maybe a payment. So what impersonation protection does, when simply enabled and saved, it will run an SPF check on the display from. So what makes that different is that an SPF check is usually done on what we refer to as the envelope from. So that's the actual from that it comes from. It might be Gmail, for instance, but what you can put is a display from, and that's the one that Outlook likes to show. So what we'll do is we'll detect if your domain is in the display from, we'll run an SPF check on that, and if obviously it doesn't pass SPF, it will then be quarantined. So it just gives you an extra level of protection to say somebody can't even use my domain if they're not using it as the actual from, they're simply using it as the friendly from. Also down here, we have add report message to inbound messages. This allows you, if you want to hand off reporting messages that were spam that might have snipped through, to your end users. So like I did it earlier in the message logs, this will add a tag at the bottom of the message where users can simply click to report a message that they feel should not have made it through. Okay. On top of this, we have also recently added DKIM signing. So what this is all outbound messages, what SecureSMART can do is stamp it on the way out. So you can generate keys. You can either generate a 1024 or a 2048-bit key. So what you need to do is check with your DNS provider what length key they prefer. You generate a key. You can choose the name in the selector, whatever is more relevant to yourselves. And then it gives you the actual record. You can copy to your clipboard that you need to put in. What it'll then do is, once you've added that to your domains, under the domain section, you can validate and check that we are picking up that obviously there's been enough time for it to propagate, and we are picking up that you've now got these DKIM values. And once you validate, this box here will ungray, and we can start DKIM signing all your messages outbound automatically. So this is obviously quite relevant for things like the public sector and things like that, where you want to make sure that there's no kind of tampering with your messages in transit. Okay. On top of that, so ClickSmart and VaultSmart, like Teresa mentioned, are actually add-ons to the core SecureSMART package. So, and these do actually have their own settings. So under ClickSmart, you can decide if you want to rewrite anchor texts or simply keep the click here is the actual message. Warn and allow gives them a warning message, but they can still click through. Block would simply outright block the message. And if you want to rewrite it in text emails. So these you'll probably already have set up the way that you want. But what you can add is allowed IPs and domains. And these are certain addresses that you do not want SecureSMART to rewrite as mail is coming through. So you can add IPs explicitly, domains, as you need to, and we will just simply not rewrite them. So we'll make sure they get through as received. Also, the templates is what will appear to your end users when they click on a link that does trigger SecureSMART. So we've got the warning alarm at the top and also the block page at the bottom. So you can customize this. You can use HTML as well, just to make sure you get it exactly the way that you would like. SecureSMART is obviously a newer product. It's our archiving solution that ties in with SecureSMART. And the SecureSMART settings in here are how we collect your internal mail. So your external mail, you don't need to worry about. We're obviously getting a copy of it as it passes through us. But your internal mail, you can either set up a locally journeying mailbox, and we can connect to it if we have the details, and we'll go in, we'll reach into that mailbox, collect all the mail and then empty it. Or you can use SMTP journaling and send it specifically to the address that will be unique for your account. So you can simply fire it to that mail and it will automatically go into the archive. The one thing to remember is that the archive is not the same as the message logs. We've purposely split them out for obviously compliancy purposes, where you require a new admin with the role compliance. And what this does is this gives them access to the vault, which gives them access to all the mail that's in the archive. So they can run searches and they can check mail, read mail, review mail, replay, export anything they need, but without having access to any of the actual settings or system as a whole. They only have access to that specific portion that you give them access to. Okay. Continuity Smart is the always-on continuity system. And if you ever need to give users access to this, you would actually have to go into your user list and find the user that you're after. In this case, I'm just going to pick Alex. Click the dots next to him. And then along the top, what you do is you get the options, and one of them is password. So you can actually reset their password, send them an email ahead of time if obviously the systems aren't currently down, or simply type it in. You can do this on bulk as well. You aren't required to do it one at a time. You can reset multiple passwords at a time. And this allows them to log in. So they log in at portal.fusemail.com, exactly the same as everyone else. And they will go to their individual mailbox so they can send, receive emails as needed. And a copy will automatically be queued going back to them. So when the mail server comes back up, if it is an outage, they'll be able to receive all the messages that they have been sending, so they can put them in the relevant folder rather than them just existing on the continuity and not locally. Okay, so that's a bit of a whirlwind. I feel like I've obviously spoke to you quite enough now, so I'm just going to hand back to Teresa for a few Q&A sessions and things like that.
Okay, thanks for that, Adam. Thank you very much. So one of the questions we've been asked so far is this license separately for DLP?
So actually, no. The advanced policies are included as standard with all SecureSMART. It doesn't matter if you're on SecureSMART or SecureSMART Suite. You will always be able to see, edit any policy with any of the criteria. It's not that we have some criteria for some packages, some criteria for another. They're all included as standard. Okay. I've got another question here. So how far back do message logs go? So 90 days is how far back the message logs will go, and how long you can replay mail depends on your package. So you will be able to go back and see the actual things like this, the to, the from, what we refer to as the header data, but the actual email will only be replayed either for 14 days if you're on SecureSMART, or 90 days, the same as the logs, if you're on SecureSMART Suite. Okay. I can see another one here. So do you support DKIM through Office 365? So in them situations, we usually recommend that you allow us to sign DKIM, and that's because certain edits that we do, like we obviously change the email to say that we've scanned it and things like that as it's passing through us, can sometimes fail DKIM if we aren't the ones to sign it. So what we do is we do all our manipulation with the email to make sure it's safe and it's not containing viruses, and then we will DKIM it as the very last thing before we send it on. So in them situations is where we say, let us do it ourselves. We can do that for you. Okay. In the policies you have from all, as well as to and to all. What's the difference between these? So this actually goes back to a little bit to how I was talking about impersonation protection. So the to and the envelope to are two separate things. So the to is the display to, or the friendly to. The envelope to is the actual to, and to all is both. So what this allows you to do is say, I'm looking for both the from field and the envelope from field by using from all. So that just includes both of them in one. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, so we're getting a lot of questions. I can see that a lot of them are getting quite specific to your individual instance. So what we'll do is we'll grab a copy of all these and we'll get back to you specifically on your question. And one of the ones that is actually quite relevant is, will there be a recording of today's sessions? Yes, there will. It will be sent out to everyone after this and also be available on our website later. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks everybody for joining us today.